Welcome to Porch Talks, and I'm Jedidiah. There's been a verse that's been running around in my head a good bit for the last several weeks. It's been one that I've spent some time thinking a lot about. One that I heard many, many times since I was a young child. And that is the scripture where it talks about, out of 1 Peter, be ye holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Now, if we go back to the verse just prior to that, it begins to add a little bit of a clue of exactly what that means, because sometimes when we ask the question of holiness, what does that really mean? And righteousness, and what does that really mean? And I think there's those two really good questions that we could spend some time talking about this morning, and we will. But that verse before, in verse 15, begins to talk about that place of holiness in all manner of conversation. At least that's the way it says it in the King James Version. Now, I learned quite some time ago that word conversation there isn't just necessarily in the way that we speak or what we speak or how we speak it, that sort of thing. We think about the place, especially from the Western view of things, we look at it at the place of talking and having a conversation with someone. You know what? That's a good part of it. I love that. And I'm going to connect the two in just a moment. But one of the things that I discovered as I looked into the Greek there about that word conversation is that it actually means your way of life. Now, it's funny, one of the key things that I've learned, not only through just the New Testament, but also the Old Testament, is that word, the conversation, the words that we speak out of our mouth, and our way of life really are intricately connected together. Yeah, they really are. I really believe that many times the words of our mouth are the very words that lay our future. And so I've often asked the question, this is just an extra little bit here, I've often asked the question, if that's the case, and I pay attention to the words that I'm saying in every situation, in every place, then I already know my future, don't I? Think about it that way. I already know what my future is because I've been speaking my future. I've been speaking those things that I know that are about to take place. I don't know about you, but to me that just stirs me up all that more to begin to be careful with the words that I say and how that I say them. So let's go back to this question about righteousness and holiness and answering those two questions, because the key question that I want to talk about today is, be ye holy as I am holy. So righteousness, what is righteousness? Well, righteousness is that which we have received through the blood of Yeshua, the Christ, without a doubt. He gave us his righteousness. I love this because Apostle Damon Thompson has a very beautiful description and way of digging into this place of righteousness and who and what we are. And then it's a yes or a no. And I agree with that. It is either a yes or a no when it comes to the righteousness. What do you mean by a yes or a no? Well, I'm covered by his blood. So it's a resounding yes. The way the Father sees me is in the fullness of the righteousness and the blood of Yeshua, the Christ. Without a doubt, that's the way he looks at me and sees me. But when we start digging into that aspect of holiness and being holy as he is holy, I have to go back to that, not only the scripture in 1 Peter, but also the scripture in Leviticus, where it begins to talk about that place of being holy as he is holy. And so holiness to me begins to talk about that place of the way that we do things. So what do I mean by that? Is righteousness and holiness similar? Well, let's break down the words, okay? Be holy. So it sounds to me like holiness is a being. It's a part of an expression of who we are. And so when I stop to ask that question, well then, who am I? Then I have to beg the question about the expression of what holiness is in the first place. All right, I don't know if you're following me or not, and I'm beginning to listen to my own words here and starting to say, okay, all right, this is getting a little deep here and getting a little bit. I'm not quite sure I'm following you. Let me make it simpler, because this is the way that the Lord helped me to understand it. And in this case, I'm not necessarily a big baseball fan, but I love to watch baseball from time to time. And I began to think about the most expensive bat that is possible. The most expensive bat that you could ever find. So it was something that had great worth. And when you have that bat, now the if you will, that bat can be sitting there and do all that it's needing to do just by sitting there, because it's the best, most expensive bat that there could ever be. But with a bat, how could that bat really be used for what it was intended to do if it wasn't picked up by the baseball player and then held in his hand, and as the ball came towards him, the baseball player, the great baseball player, has the opportunity to then swing that bat. Now, all that bat has been doing the entire time is just being the best bat that it could possibly be. But in the hands of the great baseball player, then that bat now has the ability to be able to do something because it's being used, it's being swung. You see, Father is that great baseball player. He's the one who has picked us up. He sees the value in who we are, and he chooses to use us. All we really have to do is just be. We have to be the best bat that has ever been made, because he made each and every one of us just like that. He made each and every one of us a treasure. He made each and every one of us a one who he looks at and says, all of my heart goes out to you. And I love that, because in my world, what I like to see and what I like to talk about is this. There's something that the Lord showed me when he took me into the secret place quite some time ago. And I began to see that I could be in a place that I like to call the world, or the universe of two. Yeah, the universe of two. Because in that place, with the secret place with Father and I, it's just him and I. If there's a place where I can learn holiness, then that place that I could learn who I am inside of me is going to be in that place of the secret place with him. Are you following me now? You see, because as the bat, that's the funny thing about this. As the bat, I have a choice. I do have a choice. Because that as the bat, I could be the most expensive bat that could have ever been made. I could be the pinnacle of all that needed to be done as far as baseball bats were concerned. But how do I see myself? Do I see myself as the best bat that there could ever be? Do I see myself in that place where I'm expressing the fullness and being who I'm meant to be? You see, you're starting to follow me a little bit now? I have a choice with the way I see myself, because I could see myself as even though I'm the most expensive bat that ever was, I could see myself as something far less than that. I hope you're beginning to see the picture of what I'm talking about. You see, that place of holiness and being holy as he is holy is a condition. It's a being, yes, but it's also a way that I see myself. And you see, in that place of the secret place, the Father begins to show you who you really are. He begins to show you the value of who you are. I love the universe of two, because inside of the universe of two, my secret place, that's what I call it. Inside of that universe of two, there is only him and I. It's just the Father and I in that place. That's it. No devils, no demons, nothing else exists inside of that secret place except him and I. Now, there's another part of the secret place that I like to call the universe of many. That's the place where all of us come together, and we begin to worship and praise together, and we spend time together. We have conversation together. Yeah, that conversation we were talking about earlier with the way of life. We have conversation together, and we begin to explore the depths of who Father has made us to be. There's a place like that, but there's also a place of just him and I. And in that place, I learn to be holy as he is holy. I learned the value of who I am inside of myself. Blessings and shalom.